Hello everyone, welcome to the classroom. Thank you for joining us as always. Today we will be discussing how to save Star Wars, and there is one simple solution. Recanonize the Sad Mountain. Thank you for joining us as always. So Star Wars is an American science fiction franchise. It takes place a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. In addition to this, the sky is blue, grass is green, and Star Wars fans are rabid animals. Yeah, I mean, I already think that I give unnecessary context for stuff a lot of the time, but I'm not giving any more than that, okay? You all know what Star Wars is. I know every one of you knows your Luke Starkiller from your what is it? It's
Solo.
Right, yes, thank you. You may even know your Darth Plagueis from your Cad Banes, but there will still be a whole ocean of Star Wars for you to explore. Star Wars has been around since 1977, so basically since the start of time. And almost unlike anything else, Star Wars has almost never stopped adding to the canon. And that kind of expansion is only possible through lots and lots of poorly received shit. It's been said before, but I'll say it again. No one hates Star Wars like Star Wars fans. And whichever group currently holds this hot potato of a franchise also knows that. And there's a good chance no one knows that better at this point than Walt Disney's very own anti-Semitism dream factory. I have hardly talked about Star Wars on this channel, if at all. I've had a really up and down, on and off again relationship with Star Wars. So what I'm trying to say is that George Lucas and I are lovers. No, I'm either kidding or shooting my shot, we'll see. But I love Star Wars. My favorite stuff of all the movies is obviously the original trilogy, but I am very positive about Star Wars on the whole. However, I would be a bit of a liar like in the James Carrey film Liar Liar if I said that I love all of Star Wars as much as I used to. Now, unlike a lot of people, I don't think that Star Wars had some insane nosedive in quality when Disney bought it. In fact, I think a fair portion of Disney's Star Wars is some of the best we've ever gotten. But I do think that they seriously misunderstood what people wanted from Star Wars overall. I don't know if when Disney bought Star Wars in 2012, they knew what they wanted to do with it. I mean, obviously the over $4 billion price tag means that they knew they wanted to make a lot of fucking money. But either way, by the time they released The Last Jedi in 2017 and Solo in 2018, just a few months later, it was clear that they wanted to catch lightning in a bottle all over again. Solo was meant to kick off a whole series of interconnected franchises in that little pocket almost directly in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. It was gonna be like an entire cinematic universe. This was quickly buried and forgotten when Solo thermally detonated at the box office, but now that The Mandalorian has almost become more popular than the new trilogy and certainly Solo, Disney has aimed the spin-off gun directly at Pedro Pascal's head. I hope they make a spin-off where he stops stealing everyone's women. But it feels like the more that comes out from this new pocket of the galaxy far, far away, the less people like it. This Mandalorian TV universe started with people crying because they just love Baby Yoda so goddamn much. But it slowly morphed into a show about Boba Fett, one of the most popular Star Wars characters of all time, to be received like a lukewarm bowl of buttered noodles. I don't think that anyone really loves the current state of Star Wars. So what should we do about that? Well, let's think about what Star Wars was like when it came out, because this was an insane pipe dream script that truly no one believed in. Even Lucas wrote a cheaper version of the sequel for the inevitability that this insane fantasy movie starring, among other people, an old man with a stick and a giant in a dog costume would bomb. Who could imagine? And this kind of creative process could not be more different than what it must be like to deal with the mega franchise now. Every decision, every line, costume, set, and probably even ship color has to be approved by executives who desperately want to turn Star Wars into the next MCU. But folks, with this kind of outdated thinking, we would have never gotten characters like the Sad Mountain. Folks, this is Mount Sorrow, a mountain on the forest moon of Endor. It is sentient, so much so that he is clinically depressed, the hallmark of sentience in a species. But he was stricken from the canon so long ago. But let me tell you just a little more about him. To read from Wikipedia. Sometime during the Imperial era, a young Ewok named Teebo contracted the perilous laughing spell from a loony bird. After a long trek, the Ewoks reached the base of Mount Sorrow and ascended the summit. Mount Sorrow wanted to know why the Ewoks wanted its tears when it was told of Teebo's ailment. Mount Sorrow's apparent failure to cure him led Teebo to question its abilities, but this only angered the mountain. And folks, that is exactly what Star Wars needs more of. Disney keeps trying to force an interconnecting narrative on top of their Star Wars stuff, which I'm already not a fan of. But what I hate much more than that is just the endless feeling of corporate safety, and I think that these are the two things we need to avoid, and these are the two things that the Sad Mountain stands against. So let's say if I became the new head of Disney Star Wars, what are some rules that I would enforce to keep up this sort of fun and silly attitude? I am calling them the Sad Mountain Doctrines. First off, most simple rule, if you want to do any kind of spin-off, we've gotta give it a watermark. Any spin-off movie, show, book, it has to be named a blank story, in the vein of Solo, a Star Wars story. You want to make your Boba Fett show? The Book of Boba Fett, a The Mandalorian story. You want to make your Bad Batch show? The Bad Batch, a The Clone Wars series. Say you want to make a show about Echo from The Bad Batch? Echo, a The Bad Batch story, a The Clone Wars story. This will ensure that there are no spin-offs. The second one is a much more serious suggestion. This will ensure that the studio heads keep their hands off, and that is why it's called The Force. This will ensure that we can have these silly little things that make Star Wars again. And I don't just mean things like the Sad Mountain. I mean having the straight up devil at Mos Eisley, having real snakes and iguanas on Dagobah, Han telling a rebel officer that he'll see him in hell. Wait, does Jesus exist in this universe?
In this video, I wish to present that Star Wars, amongst many other movies, retell the Christian story of Christ, but from a warped satanic perspective, where God and Christ are the evil two villains, while Satan and his descendants are the good guys, the heroes, the saviors of the world or galaxy. So have a listen and make up your own mind. So if we start with the basic premise of Star Wars, in the original trilogy of prequels at least, it all centers around an evil tyrannical emperor.
Now, I think that we should still have some oversight or maybe help when it comes to things like the script and story. See, part of my belief behind how Star Wars should continue and thrive is predicated on the situation that George Lucas was in when he made Star Wars. And since George Lucas wasn't exactly a Tarantino, a lot of people gave him a hand or two with the dialogue and fine points of the story.
And Harrison says, look, kid, I've done my part of the bargain. When I get to an asteroid, you, the old man, and the droids get dropped off. And my line was, but we can't turn back. Fear is their greatest defense. I doubt if the actual security there is any greater than it was on Aquilai or Solis. And what there is most likely directed towards a large-scale assault. And I thought, who talks like this, George? I mean, this is really not fair because, you know, we're the ones that are going to get vegetables thrown at us, not you.
But when it comes down to these little things, like a Tark, this hideous little elephant, just let the creator make whatever the fuck they want. However, I want that shit made as practically as possible, as that is an essential part of the Star Wars DNA. So an EMP will be going off on set once a day at a random time to keep digital effects to a minimum. We have two final rules here. The first is known as the silly guy rule. George Lucas is a very silly guy with lots of interests that seeped their way into Star Wars, like muscle cars, Americana, sci-fi, and high fantasy. Each Star Wars creator must have at least one weird thing that they are very passionate about. This will ensure that the projects stay appropriately strange. Like, imagine the kind of Jedi tales we could get if we found an eccentric weirdo who loves jukebox musicals and 90s toy commercials, and then we just let them go hog wild on like 90% of the movie. While we just set off an electromagnetic pulse on set once a day at random and give them about $40 million, which was about the budget for A New Hope adjusted for inflation. And then we stick them in some faraway part of the universe at some random time and just let them tell their strange little tale. Or, if you want to do something in the main Star Wars neighborhood in between episodes 1 and 9, you gotta make sure it's something like Andor quality, at least. This way we can keep our Mount Sorrows, but keep them far, far away from the sand dunes of Tatooine or the prison cells of Narkina 5. Guys, I love Star Wars, like, so much, but I really want it to feel, like, special and unique again. I'm just really scared that Disney is just trying to turn it into the MCU again. I really like the MCU, but I like it for its own thing. I like Star Wars because it's special. If they keep doing this, Star Wars will not be special anymore. But that is the video for this week, folks. I really appreciate you watching to this point. Thank you so much for joining us as always, and I will catch you next week. Bye. Hey y'all, thank you so much for watching the video up until this point, and if you made it this far, a double thank you. Thank you so much, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I just felt like talking about Star Wars. I really want Star Wars to, like, be sillier again. I think in the next couple weeks I want to do, like, a review thing again. I've done a lot of analysis lately, and my brain is tired. I just want to, like, look at something and tell you guys, like, hey, do I think that this is good or bad? But anyways, what I have to show up for my collection this week is My Hero Academia Vigilantes #1. I've had this for, like, a while, but, here, I'll hold it up again. I've had this for a while, but I really like this series. I have a lot of fun reading it, and I just wanted to show it because I hope that more people pick it up. I think it'd be cool if it got, like, an anime adaptation someday, like, maybe after My Hero is done. But, thank you so much for watching the video as always. Y'all have a good one. Bye.